Hey kids, Tom here with Sweet and Salty with Tom and Manny. And I have been asked to say, how the hell did you get into the vape business? And, it was an interesting journey. Started smoking when I was 13. My dear sister got me started, mostly to keep me quiet about her smoking. And of course, cool kids at school were doing it, hanging out in the woods next to the junior high school and stuff like that. And my source of cigarettes was, stealing them from my parents and unsuccessfully hiding that. And my mother quit smoking with the assassination of John F. Kennedy as an act of penance for being a devout Catholic. And but my father continued to smoke. So I started on Camel non-filters, wasn't messing around. And then I found this cigarette machine downtown in an alley, right around the corner from a convenience store, but it was right on the street. It was 50 cents a pack. And whoever owned it was making bank because I guess all the kids in town were getting their cigarettes there. But continued to smoke up until I was, till October 2009. And had always been a jock, so I always thought it important not to allow my smoking to slow me down, if you will, or get in the way of me participating. So I've always been a jock, played a lot of tennis, did a lot of long distance running, triathlons, did a marathon in Honolulu and so on, but had given up on the idea of quitting. I tried patches and gums and cold turkey and all that stuff. And for whatever reason, as those of you know that spend all your time dinners in a drive-through, that addiction has nothing to do with the logical process. Okay, I had pretty much given up on the idea of quitting smoking. And get over it, people, I'm going to smoke. And I was at a party. Business associate was having their 70th birthday or whatever, and so I was outside with the rest of the lepers having a cigarette. An acquaintance there said, "Have you ever tried an electronic cigarette?" And he handed me this steel tube that had a little light on the end of it. And I took a hit and went, wow, that's pretty close, because it tasted like a cigarette. It did not offend, if you will. And so I went home and Googled electronic cigarettes. What is this stuff? And decided, well, maybe I'll give it a try. He had been owed some money by a buddy of his in Canada, who then settled the debt by sending him a case of these electronic cigarettes of the same value, meaning they were, I think, he was selling them for $100 a kit, if you will. Back then, they were pretty pricey. And, came with a 10 ml bottle of tobacco flavored e-liquid. And it was kind of a pain and took a lot of participation. But a month later, on October 9th, I had smoked my last cigarette. And no one was more surprised than I was. Okay? And over the next couple of months, people kept asking me, how did you quit? Or what is that? And so on and so forth. And I realized maybe there's a business opportunity here. And so I checked into getting my own supply of electronic cigarettes, and they were all being made in China. And filed my business with the state and started and building a website and stuff. And then I got the idea of setting up over at the fantastic indoor swap meet and selling kits every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then spending Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday servicing my clients, getting them juice, replacing their coils, messing with their equipment to see what's broken, replacing it if it was broken, and started developing a nice clientele. And then opened my first real vape shop over on Southeastern in 2012. And so for 10 years, I've been vaping and making a living off of helping people move from cigarettes over to electronic cigarettes. And all the symptoms I had as a smoker went away after a couple of months. I mean, I was no longer constantly clearing my throat, didn't have the postnasal drip, the general inflammation, sinus infections, all those kinds of things. All those disappeared, and So I'm definitely a proponent. So it's something that's allowed me to improve my health significantly, and all the physicals I've had, the blood work I've done, everybody comes back, you're healthy as a horse. So far so good. Now, I've always been into nutrition, I've always been into exercise and so on. So to me, smoking combustible cigarettes, which is, the medicals will tell you, it's not the nicotine, it's the delivery system. You combust something, you create tars, toxins, and poison. And by taking combustion out of it, but by using a vaporizer that mimics smoking, if you will, I'm pretending to smoke when I use a vaporizer. It was an easy transition for me, and it's one of those things which motivated me to get into the business of it was, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I was a serious smoker. I enjoyed it, and I was defiant about it, and all those things. So I've reaped the benefits physically, and that's, of course, purely anecdotal. After 10 years and 4 vape shops later and lots of employees and a great core team, if you will, we've managed to help a lot of people in this valley along with our competitors. Didn't have a competitor when I first opened. I had a line around the block, but all of a sudden everybody else thought, well, maybe this is a good idea too. And from the standpoint of a general industry, it's having a huge impact. You can tell because the government is upset that so many people are switching to vaping that they're losing tax revenue and a master settlement agreement revenue. And so now they've got to attack vaping as much as possible, and there are different ways. They'll either outright ban it or they'll demonize it, and it's just as dangerous as smoking, despite all the scientific evidence from around the world saying that that's not true. So, but I'll let you do your investigations, go to the Royal College of Physicians' take on it, so on and so forth. Make your decision based upon a little research rather than hyperbole coming from some legislator that wants to maintain the tax revenue that smoking provides, because it's interesting that something that's proven to kill almost 500,000 people a year in the United States, that's fine. You can, as long as you don't sell to minors, we got no problem with what you do. I got a little bone to pick with that whole idea, but if that doesn't tell you that the system might not be weighted in the favor of the individuals, that's a prime example of it. So, but having been in the vaping industry for a long time, I'm very comfortable with it. I vape maybe 10% of what I used to smoke because, my need for nicotine has gone down quite a bit. When you smoke, you got to really smoke if you want to get the nicotine level up. Remember, nicotine by itself, pretty damn harmless. It's in a lot of fruits and vegetables. If it was as addictive as they say, then everybody would be eating a lot more salad. But if you'll notice, they're not, okay? But, it's in tomatoes, it's in peppers, it's in eggplant, and so on. Smaller levels than a tobacco plant, but it's still endemic in the vegetable world. Again, by itself, and at the level smokers take it in, it's pretty harmless, okay? So nicotine does not cause cancer. It is not mutagenic, doesn't cause disease. Smoke, full of carcinogens, causes disease, okay? So if we can take smoke out of it, you're going to be much less likely to be negatively impacted by using nicotine. And then it comes down to, you should really worry more about, pulling through the drive-through 5 nights a week and calling that dinner or lunch or breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you want to talk about a slow suicide, look at what you eat. But that's how I got into vaping, and that's why I like vaping. And if you like vaping too, great. If you don't like vaping, guess what? You don't have to. Don't smoke. Vaporize.